Hello Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Max Effort Squat Day. And just a reminder for those of you who watch these videos every day, please remember to click like down below. I would like to keep the likes higher than the dislikes, and only you have the ability to do that. And if you guys watch these every day, you know you like them, right? You know you're a fan, so please just click like. Thank you so much. But we got, with the random number generator, very light bands. 50 pounds of band tension on pretty much one of my lifts that I track PRs on that I care about. And that's going to be the normal box squat. Now my best box squat off of a 12-inch box has actually been 502. And as we ramped up, I realized as soon as I hit this, basically 40 pounds away from that I was just going to go for that PR with the bands. Now, when I got to the lift, if you guys see, it's actually so fast that I probably could have hit another lift, because you saw that wasn't hard at all, right? And that's with, I think, what, 462, because that is a 52-pound bar. But here we go, 502 against the 50 pounds of band, and we have actual tension at the bottom, so we know it's at least the 502. And anyone who's done band work knows that bands are substantially harder than chains pound for pound. So this is going to actually be a PR. This represents that I can easily crush my last PR. Because look, that was nice and quick. Even when I hit the band tension, went up nice and fast. In fact, it looked cleaner than my original 502 PR. Looked cleaner. So we know when we come up to a box without any accommodating resistance, it's going to be up. It's going to be up. Then next I decided to do my step ups, and I went ahead and went with the full 115 today. I tried to mess with this last time and got 8 reps and then back down. I decided in this one I was just going to stick it out. Like, I'm only doing 3 sets. I'm only doing real quad work like this, like once every 4 days. I need to go ahead and just stick it out and get some tension on my quads, because it's not even about that much volume at this point. I just need to get tension there. Particularly out of the bottom, like we're in that deeper squat position. That's where we need quads to fire harder. All right, so I need to go ahead and just get this high step up with the heaviest weights that I can handle. And this is what I did. I mean, these were hard. These were challenging. Some of these reps were even sloppy because this weight was hard for me. But that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. And I mean, on some of these days where I'm doing 5 sets of 10, I might have exercises where I only do 3 sets of 10, and I just go on ahead and push them to basically real failure. None of this leaving a rep in reserve, although a lot of them pretty much are there now, because I need to select these exercises carefully, and we need to go ahead and push them. Need to push them hard enough to grow, because that's basically what we are doing. For those who've been following this, you realize that I am hitting maxes every day, and I've explained why they're random. I've explained the benefits to that in a lot of detail. And it's actually easier on the recovery side because of the less psychological factors involved with hitting lifts. They're not contested lifts that you don't care about, but they're close enough to give transfer, because that's the main thing. They're close enough to give transfer. All right, a box squat with bands will carry over to your back squat, but no one cares about it. It's not a contested lift. Only person it's contested with is you, based upon whatever you did with it in the past. But it gives us what we need. It lets us identify weak spots. It gets us in the act of maxing out. And then from there, what matters? Hypertrophy. Now, when you're a noob, that's fine. Technique matters. You have to learn technique. You guys really think my technique is going to get better on the back squat? Versus like the last one you saw, I haven't done a back squat in forever. And I did reverse bands, and the technique was nice and clean and pretty, with a max against reverse bands. There is no way it is humanly possible to take the technique that I have there and improve the technique in such a way that I get another 10% on my max. Right? It can't be done. I can get a little more on my max. I could clean that up a little bit. So it's hypertrophy from there. That's all that matters after that. Now, noobs, they need technique work. More advanced lifters don't. We don't. It really is just about putting muscle in the right places and just getting thick. And if you're worried about weight class, then you better worry about body composition, right? You have to get leaner. You have to get leaner. And I'll have to get leaner later for weight classes and stuff. That's fine. But I'm at a body fat now that's healthy and athletic. And I had actually a few morons always at the band every day. They come in, they're like, you're a fat guy. I'm like, only by your weird bodybuilder fetish standards, by no one else's standards. Not by athletic standards, not by medical standards. So who cares? But for weight class, yeah, I might need to get leaner later, and that's fine. That's what you have to do. If you're worried about growing out of your class because you get too thick, then diet down and get leaner. At least you're replacing the fat with muscle at that point. But yeah, we've just got to get thick. So I'm picking these exercises that are going to build me up in the right places. We've got to do a lot of volume. It's all hypertrophy from there. Max work and hypertrophy work. And it's like 10%, 90%, right? I'm doing like 10% maxing, 90% hypertrophy training. Just grow. Get big. Get big and thick in the right spots. And the only carryover that matters is muscle fiber. Did you grow the muscle in the right spots? Did you grow the muscle fibers that are most involved with that lift? That's what matters. There's where your carryover is on hypertrophy work. And in this case, I've got to get into a deeper squat position. And it also works my hip and glute and everything too. All in a position where it carries over to a back squat. Easy to recover from lift. And when I've done just a little bit of this I've done is put a lot of size on my quads real quick. It will be enough to keep my quads growing so that we can focus on the other stuff that's going to keep my squat stable and improve my deadlifts and stuff, right? This is enough to keep the quads going. It's enough. If I need to add a little more volume, we mess with it. But I needed to push it harder. And I've got to push it. And yeah, it's an awkward, annoying lift at times. But it will work. And we did good mornings. I decided not to do glute bridges today. It felt like good mornings would carry over better to what I'm doing. All right. I wanted to get some back. I wanted to get some hamstring. I want to make sure that I'm getting plenty of back work. I need to make sure I'm getting plenty of T-spine work, because I did notice my whole mid-back actually felt like a weakness when I did that back squat, not on a box. I'm a little worried about that. And I know I need it for conventional deadlift, so we might as well just do the good mornings. So these are going to be our go-tos. We're going to rotate through depending on the squat and the deadlift day. We're going to obviously mess with the shrugs and the step-ups. Shrugs are going to be more specific to deadlift days. Step-ups more specific to squat days. And as far as these others go, we're going to rotate them around through the week. There's going to be a high focus on the good morning, the glute bridge, and the glute ham raise. Now, the benefit of the good morning and the glute ham raise is that I can have variability. I can use different bars. I can use bands, chains. I can do whatever I need to do. The glute bridge is pretty hard to create variations of. So it's just going to be flat, straight weight. The other two, I can have some variation. So I can play with those. I can manipulate these. I have variables I can manipulate. So they're slightly more versatile tools. It's not to say the glute bridge doesn't bring a lot to the table, because it does, and I'm going to keep using it. I think it's a phenomenal exercise. But I do have more variation and tools to bring to the table with these other two. But I upped the weight on these a little bit today. I went up to 205 because I realized I can handle it. Now it was harder because I bumped 10 pounds last time. I need to go ahead and get strong at these. If I'm going to use this same bar for a little bit, we need to focus on progression. I need to get strong because that strength will carry over directly to my conventional deadlift, right? It'll carry over. We need it. We need that carryover. And possibly to my back squat when I'm not on a box, because that mid part of my back down there did feel like a weak link a little bit. Maybe didn't affect my performance, but it could affect injury prevention, affect stability. So we need to keep hitting this. We need to keep hitting it. Whereas in the glute bridge, I think matters more for things like the lockout on a deadlift. If I start missing lockouts on deadlifts, we put a little more focus on it. And we'll still do it every week, at least once a week. But just trying to prioritize these based upon where I think I see the weaknesses on these different maxes coming out. We still do all the lifts, and that's what people need to remember. We train everything. That needs to be very clear. We don't skip training muscles. We just put more focus and more total sets on the muscles that seem to be the weakest links. We obviously still need to train our erectors, glutes, hamstrings, hips, all these things for the squat and the deadlift, obviously. It's a matter of prioritizing how much goes into each lift for each one. We prioritize the weakest links because they need to grow the most. And notice we say grow. Why? Because size equals strength. And that point needs to be clear. You don't strengthen weak links with technique, right? There's no technique to strengthen your weak links. You either build them or you don't. They either get bigger and therefore stronger, or they don't. Not the same as training weak points in your technique. So if we have weak muscles, we have to just train those muscles. We just have to get them bigger. It's that simple. So 5 sets 10 on the good mornings with a new weight. Now the glute ham raises, I went ahead and went with a slightly heavier band. And at first, when I did the first set, I didn't feel it. I'm like, yep, that's what I thought. It wasn't going to make any real difference until I got off of the glute ham raise. And I'm like, oh, wait, what happened? Kind of hit my hamstrings hard. Because I went up to the next band up. And again, as people will rightly point out, they'll rightly point out, and they're correct. Yeah, but that's really only adding resistance to the easiest part. That's correct. Because there's no real tension right at the bottom. The band's pretty loose. If it's adding anything, it's not enough to matter relative to my body weight. Not till at least halfway up the band even really kicks in. And that's where the lift is easiest. But that's also where we're putting that peak contraction on the hamstring. So it's a different strength curve. It completely changes the strength curve versus if we were doing the same thing with a plate to add weight. And it would be a very small plate. I want people to understand this is not the equivalent of me grabbing a big 45-pound plate. It's very minimal tension. It's just a blue band. I mean, this band is only 25 pounds of tension when stretched all the way. Okay. So people need to understand that at most, I bet you it's only adding 20 pounds at the top because it's not even completely stretched. Maybe 20 pounds, and it's through the easiest part. But it's also at the point where the hamstring's at peak tension. And when it brings you back down, it might create a mild overspeed effect. And that's going to get more pronounced as I get stronger and stronger bands. But it did add a little bit, and it made the exercise just a little bit harder. It was harder to complete my sets, particularly as I got deeper. And that's what we want. It's basically micro-loading. This is basically just micro-loading. As I get slowly stronger on more and more band tension, it's like adding microplates almost. Because they contribute so little to the harder part of the exercise, but they change the curve progressively. Which could, again, create that overspeed effect, which, again, can create hamstring hypertrophy. But, again, finished my hamstrings off really well. We know that my hamstrings got worked really hard in this. Got worked really hard today. Because, again, we did good mornings, and then we did these with bands. Now, there was still, obviously, quads came first. But everything got worked here. And the thing that I think is interesting with these, especially as I start doing these with bands when I'm fatigued from the others, I also feel them in my hips a lot too. And that's a good thing because hips are critical in the back squat, especially when you're a wider stance squatter like I'm doing these days. Hip strength matters a lot. So we need to build all that up. I am using a more hip dominant squat these days. The only difference there is that people assume that a hip dominant squat doesn't build quads or it doesn't require quads. And that's just not true. They're just de-emphasized. But if it allows us to lift more weight, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And people forget that. By doing it this way, yes, the quads don't have to take as much load as the hips and things do. But the net result is that you can move more weight and the quads fire just as hard. So they still contribute. You still need quads. They're just not going to always be your limiting factor. But all in all, good workout. I enjoyed it. I got a lot done today. Good PR on the squat. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.